Hey there, everybody. It's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, excuse me. It's Tuesday, 3 o'clock, and that means it's Tech Tuesday. Today I'm going to be continuing on a series where I'm doing fiber broadband diagnostics with TruVizion. Be right back. Thanks for joining me. Again, going to be continuing on this series where I'm looking at TruVizion. So TruVizion Diagnostics is our diagnostics platform that is a cross-platform diagnostics solution. So we have in here, we started with cable, DOCSIS side, so cable modem CMTS. But obviously with all of the focus on fiber, several years ago we added fiber diagnostics into TruVizion as well. So I've been going through some of that. Since so many service providers right now are deploying fiber, that would be cable operators, right, that are deploying fiber maybe in greenfield areas or even overbuilding themselves. So if they were used to having some DOCSIS diagnostics, they may be looking at what they have in fiber and not finding that it's that useful for them. Now, fiber is more reliable, but the tools that you get with fiber diagnostics quite often are not really meant for everybody in the company. It's meant for a few engineering types that kind of your propeller heads in the back room that, no offense guys, that can log into the EMS system and go in there and drill down into and get all of these the textual reports and things, and not real helpful. So it can be helpful if you're having a problem, and then you got to drill down and remember where you got to stuff. So we try to put everything right out there where you can see it. So what we're looking at right now, I went through the OLT screen for several weeks, and I've been looking at the ONT screen now. And I've got some screenshots because on the ONT screen we have customer sensitive information, so I'm trying to keep that hidden here. This is a screenshot that I took earlier today from a service provider that's using our software. And I covered this last week. This is the panel where you've got your picture of your device, and you've got some alerts here you can see, some warnings and alerts. Today I'm going to be talking about this panel here. And I'm also going to show a live version of this on our development platform because I need to click into some of these things, and I didn't want to have like a whole bunch of screenshots to try to figure that out. But just looking at what we have right here, you can see this is our data port panel, and we've got different ports we can look at. I am going to glance over here because it's easier for me to see. So I've got my BW prop. I'm not even sure what that is, but I've got service tag action. Then I've got my admin status and operational status. That's enabled, both of those. I've got my port summary enabled, no alarms, operation status enabled. I can see my upload total last 24 hours and download over the last 24 hours. Got my speed as auto, train speed, 1, duplex full, and I'm going to show where you scroll down on this panel here in a minute. And then another thing about this, again, why this is so useful, I think, for service providers is this screen, obviously, this is for the ONT, so this is an individual subscriber that we're looking at here. So this is something really perfect for the call center agent, right? So they get on the phone with a customer. They can pull up the customer by, I showed this last week, they can pull up right here by their name, address, phone number, company name if they have a company, serial number on the device. You've got a few things you can type in here, and then you can click that plus and get a lot more things. Maybe I'll show that again here when I get to the live system. But so they can pull up the customer, they can see what's going on immediately, they get kind of a visual cue that some things are not right. They can see what's going on here. They've got high OLT receive level. They've got a yellow on the receive level itself. Operation status is degraded. There's one alarm right there. If I remember when I clicked on that, there was a battery. The ONT battery was missing, which they may know about, may not know about. Got no video, no voice service on this particular device here, but they've got video service, and they've got a few, let's see, user disabled, and then some receive optical signal, and operational status is down. Received optical signal is neg 15.2. So you got a lot of information on here, and then you've got over here a map where you see the customer you're looking at, and you see around them there's some devices that are in a warning stage, not an alert stage. You got a few green devices, so you can drill on that. Again, they've got their customer information up here that I've blurred out, so if you needed to contact the customer or you're on the phone with them, you've got their contact information here. You can confirm with them. So this is very, very nice for your call center rep, as well as other folks that might be looking at this that are having to drill in on a individual subscriber instead of looking at everything that's going on the fiber network itself that you might with our OLT diagnostics page. So And the other thing I was going to say that's very nice about this is as you're looking at this customer, so if I've got a call center rep looking at this screen and they're seeing all of these kinds of things, they can also look at the data port information here and see if there's anything that might be impacting more than one customer. So they're looking at the port and seeing what kind of what issues there might be on that. So is this just a subscriber, or is there something that's maybe common to lots of subscribers that I can pinpoint? We do the same thing on a cable modem. So again, if you've got this application from us and you've got a mixture of cable modems and ONTs, so you're providing both DOCSIS and fiber, which is more and more common these days as cable operators are going to greenfield opportunities with fiber and keeping their HFC plant where they have current customers, then you can have diagnostics for your cable modem devices and your ONTs in the same application. So we try to present things on the page in the same way. So if you had a fiber customer, you pull it up, you get a picture of whatever it is that they're connected to, the ONT. If this was a cable modem, you'd see a picture of a cable modem. Might more likely be obviously something that would be sitting on the desk. Then you've got a lot of information that's in the same place. So up here is where you would have your channel information on a DOCSIS customer, for example, and you could look at all the different channels and see if any of them are having a problem. And that's more common, right, on a cable plant where customers complaining and you look and there's some RF issue on the cable plant because it's, just harder to keep RF issues from happening on cable plants. Much easier to get problems where you've got, let's say, the coax portion of the plant versus the fiber portion of the plant on an HFC plant. So again, I can scroll down here. You can see that there's scroll bars in here. So I can scroll down on this panel. Again, just a screenshot I'm looking at here, but you can see also that I've got IP addresses here. If there are IP addresses, I'm assuming this would be associated with the port. Then I could ping those. I've got NAs here. That's often what I see. There's an interface NA, and then you've got subscriber ID, and then you've got a description. And then over here, you've got, actually I'm going to go back again because I missed the first top part of that. So you've got your start time, 6:28, 11:15. That is most likely the poll time because I see the same thing down here. Like I know that's the poll time. So down, and then you've got lots of kind of errors and kinds of things that normally, again, in a fiber plant is pretty solid. So if nothing's going on, you see zeros on this. You tend to see zeros on these things. So I've got download buffer overflow, signal quality errors, what is that? Defer download, upload buffer upload, late collisions, these kinds of things. You got collision information, so car sense errors, Mac download errors, Mac upload errors, multi-collision, upload frames too long. So if you start to see some numbers pop in here, you know you're having issues. FCS error, excess collisions. Again, as you scroll down, using the scroll bar, you see other things. Single collision, align errors, downstream octets. So you start to get some of your transfer information here, how much you're transferring downstream, upstream on octets, unicast packets, multicast packets, downstream, and then if there's any upstream multicast, downstream broadcast, or upstream broadcast, you would see that here as well. So lots of information there. So, and then I'm going to go back to, again, I need to go to live system to show you more here because I don't want to have a ton of screenshots. So this is from our development platform. So this, as I tell people, is the danger zone because anytime this could just completely shut down on me because this is what the developers are working on for the next version. And one thing I suspect they don't mean to be doing is it looks like like some of these panels are stretched out. I don't think they're planning on doing that. So I didn't have to scroll here because normally I scroll here. So as you saw earlier, everything was a nice one nice screen, and now I have to scroll the whole screen, and I've got a weird long map here. So I'm thinking this is just because it's a development platform. This was not like this last week, so they're monkeying around something with some of the display in here. Could be that they're adding, sometimes they'll be adding features and adding things. So there'll be more stuff showing up, and they may be just kind of expanding things as they're doing that. Then they'll get it all back with the scroll bars. So again, same kind of information you can see here. In this case, fake address and name for this device. It actually is out in the world, but it's not here in Alpharetta, and it's not this person's name. So, and again, you can see we've got some issues here. But I wanted to point out that right here I can switch. So I've got GigE. So as I'm looking at the ports, I can click GigE 1, or I can look at 2. And I've got something there. Looking here, it looks like train speed. Got a yellow and it's a 0.1. Still train duplex, so sometimes you'll see that not being full. Then again, same kind of information. And then this also changes. So you'll notice as I go from gig or gig 1 to 2, whoops, missed selecting it. I'm assuming you can see me changing this selection box. Sometimes it's weird when I do these videos where you can't see that. So you can see the information down here changes as I go from one to the other, right there. And then this changes all down here, so as well as this down here. So all this information changes. I think that's changing, right? Yeah, RF ports, video, let's see. I think that changes. No, that stays the same. So we're looking at just this port here. So gig 1, gig 2. Then we got an RG1. I believe these are things that are related specifically to Calyx. RG1, FB1. So you see there's nothing there. So usually you're looking at this, and this is useful. You know, sometimes you might have a customer, if you've got a device that's got more than one port, where they'll move something themselves. It's like, well, I'll just move this cable and now I can't get access. What's going on? So you could look in here and ask them where they're attached to, and you can kind of see what's going on in the different ports that way. So I think that would be helpful. And then the other thing I was going to show in here is that up here you've got a drill in button that I can click. So I'm looking at this information again. This is showing me when it was last looked at. At this point now it's 6:28, 2:45 p.m. So that was about 30 minutes ago or so. I haven't reloaded the page since then. I can reload this. I mentioned this last time. I can hit auto update and it will reload every 15 minutes because we go out and poll every 15 minutes. Or if I check that, it'll do that. Most people don't like that because if they're looking at the screen, they don't want it changing unless they want it and they want to know that it's changing. But since it's been over 15 minutes, I can go ahead and click this auto update, and that will now auto update that panel as well as this panel. Wait for that information to come in, and you can see here now it's 6:28 at 3 p.m. So again, it's not quite, what is it, 3:12. So in 3 minutes, I would be able to update this again. So now I have new information on that, and that would be the same for any of this information here as well. So now the other thing I can do, as I was saying, is I can click up here in this drill in. When I click this drill in, I get basically the same information. I'm going to go back again. So basically a lot of the same information that we're looking at, we go ahead and collect on a historical basis. So I can click here. And again, I've got lots of information here that I can scroll through. So I've got my downstream and upstream throughput in these two panels here. I've got downstream and upstream usage here. Downstream and upstream unicast packets, downstream and upstream multicast packets, broadcast packets downstream and upstream, download buffer overflow, CRC errors upstream, MAC download errors and upload frames, defers, all this stuff. And you see lots of straight lines because, again, on all of these things that we were looking at, different kinds of errors, align errors, signal quality errors, all these kinds of things. Again, fiber is pretty solid, so usually you're not seeing any issues there. But if you were, it's nice to know that you can log in, or excuse me, or drill in here on this historical stuff, and you can kind of see then when it started. Now, I'm looking at 24 hours. Whenever you drill into a report, you can see at 24 hours, I can check 7 days, 30 days, or 90 days. And you can see that your time frame changes here. So right now I'm looking at 30 days, so I've got May 29th out through June 29th here. I can go to 90 days and gone that far out. And as I scroll down here, again, it looks like a lot of these haven't had any of these errors even over that time frame, so I can see that things are clean there. So this is giving me historical information on the kinds of things that you would expect to be seeing over time, but you can check those out. And you can, again, click any of these up here, but you can also, once you get to a certain level, if you say, wow, this, what area, like maybe this area looks really interesting right here. So I can drill in on that just by clicking and dragging. That extends out all my, or adjusts all my charts to that time frame. They're gonna have to reload here. And then you will see the time frame. I'm assuming it's doing it. Again, it's hard to tell with our development platform if that's actually gonna work. So danger, Will Robinson. So That may not be working right now. I'm going to go back to 30 days. So I won't bother dragging right now. The other thing, well, let's see if it works, is I can click live. And if this is functioning right now on this development platform, then this will start to populate, and it looks like it is. This will start to populate this information every 5 seconds or so. And so if you're making a change or you're really trying to monitor something like what's going on right now with my upstream usage, you can then go ahead and click live and follow that. Maybe you want to know what's going on with my downstream broadcast packets. Again, you can just click live and kind of monitor that as it comes in. And of course, you can always scroll over any of these lines in that point and see what point, what the reading was at that particular point. So again, every 5 seconds or so, you can see this is streaming in. So that's helpful as well. So that's that system. I'm just going to go back here. Where did I get on here? Yeah, I think I was on that slide. So let me go back in. Since I made these slides, I always make slides if I'm going to be using the development platform, because I never know, again, if I'm going to be able to log in. Sometimes they take it down because they're making changes, doing an update as they do development or maintenance. So I always make screenshots. I was just going to page through a couple of these. So again, I was showing where you can scroll down here. Something that I forgot to mention, I did mention last time actually, I mentioned that, again, if you scroll down, you see a CPE. If there are any CPEs down here, you can see those. The one we were just looking at didn't have any, but in this case, there's one CPE that we've got, and it shows the IP address that I blurred out, and it shows the MAC address. You can actually go ahead and ping that. So that's a nice little test you can do. And the other thing I forgot to mention when I showed this was that if you hover over the MAC address, it will tell you what that device is. So in this case, telling me that that's a Netgear router. So I've got that information. Also, I was just going to show that, again, you've got an alarm here. The last alarm I think I was looking at was that ONT battery issue. I guess I could have clicked on that because I was live, I think. But I showed it here, and here it's a low optical power received near end. So again, that's nice to have that ability to get the alarms right there on the screen, and then you can click to see what that is. That's basically what the OLT is telling us. And I'm assuming that's related to this red OLT receive level here. I think that was all I was going to show today. Let's see, I was going to talk about the alarms. Yep. Yeah, okay. So again, TruVision, very helpful. If you are a provider of fiber services, I think you'll find that whatever software you're using now is not really that useful, which means you probably are not using it. Maybe again, there's a few people in your whole company that have access to it, because in addition to it being difficult to use, sometimes it allows people to go in there and make configuration changes and screw things up. So there may only be a few people that are authorized to use it and that can even understand it. But with TruVision, we make it in such a way that it's easy for multiple people within an organization to be able to look at a screen and go, hey, this isn't right. It's red. I know that's bad. And it doesn't take much training to tell people, when this is red, you need to do this. If this is yellow, let somebody know, because it means something could be going bad. Like we'll show the laser temperature on the OLT screen, and anybody could look at that and go, okay, we've got a yellow here on laser temperature. Maybe I need to let somebody know that because it could be getting worse. So if you've got any interest in TruVision, you see our contact information right there. You can send us an email, just give us a call, something like that, and we will be happy to tell you all about it. I'll be back next time for Tech Tuesday. Tomorrow I'll be back with broadband deployment news, live at some point during the day. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.